Hey sis. Okay, so it was like 2019-ish. And I just want to do a quick little disclaimer, right? In every celebrity story that I share, nothing inappropriate has ever transpired. I have never tried to do anything inappropriate. I'm very blessed to say that it's always been a very nice, friendly exchange, okay? I'm talking real fast because y'all say that I could be a little long with it. And I just feel like it's snowing outside, and what the hell else are you doing? Like, you could just sit here for a second and hear the story. Like, it's just a second. It's 3 minutes. Like, So while working at the airport, and again, I no longer work at the airport. I had left for a work from home job because I was a mom. It was during the pandemic, and I wasn't comfortable working there. Okay. But when I was working there, I met a lot of celebrities. I already talked about Andre 3000 and a few others if you go on my page. But this one is about Fabulous in particular. When I tell y'all this man is so nice, so sweet, because my supervisor really tried to con this man. She really tried to play it crazy. And I have the pic included with me and him to know that this is a real story. And also when I include the pic, it's for proof. It's not for me to like show y'all how me or the person look. It's just so that you know I'm not lying. People tell fake stories for clout. So long story short, my supervisor finds out that Fab just got off the plane. And she told me, she was like, if we go down the baggage claim, we'll be able to like catch him, like be able to like see him before he leaves. Well, as we go down there, unbeknownst to us, he's looking for us because he left his cell phone on the plane. And he was very like, he wasn't like mad or anything. He was like, I know that I already got out of security and I can't go back through, but if there's anything you guys can do to get my phone, like I really appreciate it type shit. So this is where she like sis. And also she no longer worked there either. I would never tell a story that would get somebody fired, okay? So she like, okay, Fab, we just so short staffed right now. Can you just give us a second? I'm gonna let the girl finish working her flight and then she can come down here and bring the phone to you. And as she's telling him this, more and more people are starting to realize that it's Fabulous. I'm talking about like all kind of people, young kids, black kids, white kids, everybody's starting to realize that it's Fabulous. So she's like, I'm gonna go ahead and you guys can step in here in the baggage office and we'll just wait in there until she brings your phone. As I'm walking in the office with her, him, his team, she closes the door in my face. I'm sorry, 1 second. She's like, yeah, Amari, you can go outside and guard the door for us. That way, if anyone has any questions about their bags, you can tell them where to go. This whole time, I'm looking at the back of Fabulous' head for like 35 minutes, okay? So as he's about to leave, she's like, Fab, can we have a group picture? And he's like, yeah. So I pulled a Homer Simpson, like the meme, and I stepped back slowly, like under the green grass type shit. And when they were so hyped up about the group photo, I was like, Fab, can I take a picture with you? He was like, yeah. And we did. And here's the picture, y'all. It's on my old phone, so it's a little blurry. But yeah, true story. True story.
What it do, what's up, what's happening, what's popping? Before we fully get into the video, let's give a round of applause for our Diva of the Week, Miss God is Gracious 85. I am new to YouTube, so seeing a message like that really boosted my ego and I needed that, so thank you. And if you are interested in being the Diva of the Week, tell me something special in the comments and you can be the Diva of the Week because we all need a little motivation and whatnot. In today's video, we will be watching TikTokers tell us about the times that they have met some celebrities and whether they were on their good behavior or whether they were on their bad behavior. And at the end of this video, I will be telling you guys about the times that I have met some celebrities and I will have my receipts, of course. If you have watched some of my videos in the past and you have heard girly pops and boysicles, that is me, yours truly. I am Diva. Thank you for watching. And if you want to do something nice today, like help me on my 2025 goal of trying to get a YouTube plaque, please hit the subscribe button right now.
Has anybody ever said hello to a celebrity and then immediately regretted it because of how they treated you afterwards? Because I have a story like that. But before I tell the story, I need everyone to promise me that you will not send hate to this person because I made a video that was similar to this talking about my experience with Flo from Progressive and it went viral and a lot of people sent her a lot of hate and I truly do not want to do that. All right, so here we go. So I used to work at this little cafe as a bartender years ago, but I saw this actor walk in and he was like this indie actor. He's a little bit bigger now. He walked in and I immediately recognized him from several movies. And I was a little starstruck because I, one, kind of had a low-key crush on him, but then also I just thought to myself, like I really respected the guy and I liked his work. And so I thought, wow, like it would be really great if like I said hello to him, because he probably doesn't get that often because he was only in like a couple small indie movies, but I had seen those movies. So I'm actually taking care of him and about, I want to say like a dozen other people. I didn't want to like embarrass him or say anything in front of like everyone, so I just like let him enjoy his meal, left him alone. But the meal's wrapping up and he actually got up from the table and starts to walk outside. And I was like, this is my opportunity. If I'm not going to do it now, I'm probably never going to be able to do it. So I see him walking out by himself, so I stop him. So I'm like, hey. And he's like, hey. He was wearing this backpack and I just start ranting about, hey, I saw you in Hannah Takes the Stairs. I saw you in Hump Day. I think you're so talented. I like the work that you choose to be in. I think you're so natural. I just love watching you on screen. I just wanted to tell you that. And the whole time he's just looking at me, holding his hands on his backpack, looking very disinterested. After I'd said all these compliments to him, he just looked at me and said, okay. I was kind of shocked and I just didn't know what to say. So I was like, I guess that's it. That mother rolled his eyes and just walked away. I was mortified and I immediately regretted saying hello to him. And you know what? The guy doesn't owe me anything. There's a bunch of reasons why he could have done that to me. He could have been having a bad day. I have absolutely no idea. But Mark, if you're out there, I hope you're having a better day. And I'm still a fan and I wish you all the best. It just broke my heart and made me feel really small.
A very popular influencer on this app slid into my DMs and she's like, I've been watching your spooky scary story times. They're always on my For You page and I have a creepy story for you, but you have to keep me anonymous. And this one is good. She told me it involves a very high profile Hollywood actor. To be fair, she did not tell me who it is, so don't be asking me because I don't know. She started her DM by saying that she's wanted to tell this story on her own page for a while, but she signed an NDA and she can't risk getting into legal trouble, but she's still curious to what people think. So she said 2 years ago she was in LA at a red carpet premiere with a friend of hers who's a model. The premiere wraps up, they go to an after party, and at the after party is a very prominent Hollywood actor. She says it's a household name, everybody knows who he is. He is significantly older than her. She's in her mid-20s. She said her and the actor were making eyes all night, but they didn't really talk except for once when they were at the bar at the same time, and he complimented her drink choice. Her and her friend decide to leave around 1:30 in the morning. They're walking toward the door. The actor is by the door. He stops them. He's like, where are y'all going? She tells him they have no plans. He's like, we should be friends on Instagram. So he adds her on Instagram. She's all excited about it, but doesn't really think anything comes of it. She said that she's used to being around very famous people and nothing ever happens. So they're in the Uber on the way back to her friend's house when he DMs her and he's like, hey, if you want to keep this party going, you can come over to my place. I can send you a car. Her friend's like gassing her up. She's like, yes, girl, go get it. Like she thinks they're going to hook up. So she goes back to her friend's place. He sends an Uber to pick her up and takes her to a house in the hills. She says the Uber pulls up to a gate with an intercom system and the Uber driver's like, what do I do? And she's like, I don't even know if he knows my full name. So she tells the Uber driver his name. He's like, hey, I'm dropping off so-and-so. And there's just like silence on the other end of the intercom. So she DMs the guy. She's like, hey, I'm here. He DMs her back after like a minute and he's like, okay, like just go in. You beat me home. She gets dropped off, walks up to the door, knocks on the door, and like the help, I guess, answers the door. She said when she got there, she was a little bit put off because there were other people there and the help takes her phone and has her sign an NDA. And she said that she didn't recognize anybody that was there, but there were probably like 15 people all kind of scattered around the living room and the kitchen, just drinking and making themselves at home. A lot of them were sitting around boredly, just like in like quiet conversations with each other. So she just goes and like takes a seat. He walks in after about 15 minutes and goes like straight over to her, leads her to his bedroom. They hook up. She actually said it was very vanilla, very boring. She thinks she's gonna go. He's like, do you want to go to another party? There's something else happening tonight. And she's like, okay, sure. So he leads her down this back stairwell in the back corner of one of the rooms in his house. And it's like a warehouse type garage. He's got a bunch of cars parked down there and they get in the back of this unmarked black SUV. She says the car is driving underground in tunnels for about 20 minutes and she's trying to make like light conversation with him. Like, where are we going? Like, whose party is this? And he's just like, oh, it's a really good time. Like, you'll like it when we get there. But she said he was very stoic, like did not talk to her more than a few words at a time. The car pulls out of the tunnel and they are in front of this big warehouse. And she said she didn't recognize anything around it. She has no idea where they were. She said probably 20 minutes in any direction from the hills. It's still dark out. They walk up to the front of this warehouse. There's like big steel doors and there's a couple bouncers outside in like black suits. They open the doors, they let them in. And she said it's all red lit inside and the whole warehouse was sectioned off into different areas. To her immediate left when she walked in was a bar. To the right was a small circle with a short fence surrounding the circle. And in the middle of the circle was a woman. Outside the circle was a guy dressed as a bullfighter and there were about 20 people watching this. So she looks at the actor and she's like, what is this? And he's like, oh, it's kind of like an art installation. Like there's just different spectacles to see. She said some areas were not that abnormal. Like one area just had a tarot card reader. She said there was another area with just some couches and speakers and a DJ. And in that area, the DJ was just playing this like very electronic bass heavy music with metal noises. And there were people with power tools making sparks fly everywhere. I don't know. So they're just sitting in there having some drinks, listening to the music for a little while when she feels somebody tap her, and she turns around and there's a guy standing with a wolf mask on in like normal street clothes, but just like a giant wolf mask with the mouth open. And he's like, hey, and the actor she's with grabs her and like pulls her away. And she's like, what was that? And he's like, you're not ready for that crowd yet. They're walking around looking at all the different installations or exhibits, I guess. And they get to like a far back corner. And she said there were two people, a man and a woman, and they were blindfolded. And in front of them on the floor was a bunch of broken glass. And she said when they got over there were like 40 people all standing around, like watching them. And the people all watching them were encouraging them to like take steps forward. She said she looked down at their feet and could tell that at some points they had misstepped and stepped on broken glass. Both the man and the woman were standing still when somebody in the crowd threw a glass at them and was like, move. So she got upset at this point, and she like grabs the actor and she's like, I don't like this. Like, I want to go. And he tries to calm her down. He's like, everybody that is here willingly. Like, it's with consent. It's just an installation. I told you that. And she's like, I don't like this. It's creeping me out. Like, I want to leave. So he's reluctant, but he agrees. So they go back outside. They get in the black unmarked SUV and they start driving, but they don't go back in the tunnel. They're taking a different road, and she doesn't recognize anything. So they're driving for like 10 minutes. Mind you, she still doesn't have her phone, and they pull up to this gas station. The car stops. He's like, this is your stop. The driver hands her phone, and they're like, get out. She's like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't even know where I am. He's like, get out. So she gets out of the car, and the car pulls away. She opens Insta to DM him, and he already has blocked her. So she has to call her own Uber. She said it took like 10 minutes for the guy to get there, and then it was 40 minutes till she got home. She said she's been wondering literally for like 2 years now what she saw at that party, especially with everything that's coming out about Hollywood. So she's curious to what you guys think. It did come from her actual account, and like this could be a made up story. However, I did look at her account. Like, she is huge on this app. I don't know why she would lie about this, especially being anonymous. Let me know what you think, and keep sending me your spooky, scary stories.
You ever go out with your friends one night and then you end up like hanging out with a celebrity and you're like, how did I end up here? Well, yeah, that's what happened to me. Basically, me and my friend were working on an audition for me. She was helping me. And afterwards, I was like, yo, I'll buy you a drink when we're done. So we finished the audition, and she was like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I can only go for this one drink. Like, I can't even afford another drink. I was like, don't worry, I can only afford our round, and that's it. So we'll just get one round. So we go to this bar. It's like outside in Silver Lake, Los Angeles. It's like 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon. We got to the bar, me and my friend were like, oh, can we sit at this table? And the hostess was like, oh, that's reserved for a bachelorette at like 7, but y'all should be good. We were like, okay, cool. So we sit at that table. Keep in mind, the friend that I'm with, it's just us two. She's very popular. She's from New York City. A lot of people in New York know her. She's friends with a lot of artists, a lot of cool people. She's in the mix. So we're sitting there. We get our one round. My best friend, Christian, calls me. He's like, yo, should I pull up? And I'm like, nah, because we're only getting one round. By the time you get here, we'll be done and we'll be leaving. He was like, oh, all right. So we ended up taking our time with that first round. We sat there and drank that one drink for like an hour. Like just little baby sips and stuff. By the time we're done drinking our first round, in walks in this one girl and Willow Smith. I'm like, oh shit, that's Willow Smith. It's like not that packed of a bar. My friend is like, oh shit, I know the girl that Willow Smith is with. So my friend starts being like, hey, what's up? They walk over to our table. My friend and that girl are talking. Willow Smith just starts talking to me. She's like, yo, what are you drinking? I'm like, oh, it's like a mango passion fruit marg. She's like, oh, is it good? I was like, yeah, it was good. She's like, you getting a second round? I was like, I don't know. She was like, well, if you want, I could just buy us some pitchers for the table. Plural. Pitchers. Not a pitcher. Pitchers for the table. I was like, wow, you're like a really nice person. Okay, let's do it. She goes back over. She's like, does anyone want tacos? We're like, she's like, I'm about to get some vegetarian mushroom tacos. I'm feeling pretty hungry. Yeah, thanks. She found out that I worked on RuPaul's Drag Race, so she's like chatting me up about RuPaul's Drag Race. She lights up. Now the bar is packed. Okay, the bar is packed. It's like half outside, half inside. She sparks a fat J, okay, in the middle of this bitch. Like smokes a fat J. We ended up sitting there for like 3 hours. I actually noticed the hosts came out to kick us out from the table. They saw Willow Smith was sitting with us, and they were like, and they sat the Bachelorette at a different table. I'm forgetting that she's an A-list celebrity. I'm forgetting that. I start to remember that she's a famous celebrity when I look around the restaurant and everyone there in the restaurant is looking at our table and like taking photos of our table. I don't know if it was because she was sparking that J or if it's because who she was, but everyone was pulling the like. You know when people like try not to look at you for too long, so they pretend like there's a clock on the wall, so they go. That's what people were doing to us. Then I text my best friend Christian, and I'm like, yo, bro, I know I told you we're only staying for 1 round, but some things have changed. You need to pull up immediately. Don't make it a big deal, but come now. He's like, why? I'm like, just come. He's like, bro, I'm playing Xbox. I'm like, bro, Willow Smith is here. It's just the 4 of us. Pull up now. He's like, I'm on my way. He pulls up immediately. We're all hanging out, having a great time. We got like 6 rounds of drinks in. She was honestly one of the coolest celebrities I've ever met. Like, she was such a cool celebrity that she got me to a point where I forgot that she was a celebrity. Like, she had a driver outside waiting for her, and I was surprised for a second. Then I was like, oh yeah, it's Willow Smith. Obviously, she's gonna have a driver outside. But in the moment, I was like, forgetting that she was a famous person. She didn't talk about any famous stuff. She didn't talk about being famous. She didn't talk about any work she was working on. She just was a normal person. But yeah, Willow, if you're watching this, that night 3 years ago was lit, and thank you. We were really broke that day, and you were a really nice person and bought us multiple rounds and just sat and talked with us like we were normal people. And you talked to us like we weren't peasants.
Anybody ever said hello to a celebrity and then immediately regretted?
Yes. So this was back in like 2017, I believe, but I was staying at a secluded resort with my parents. We did not pay for this trip. It was a gift from one of my mom's old clients, and it is a very, very, very wealthy place. We were staying in one of the villas, and then you also have access to like the off the property, but you also have access to the property, and you get there by like a golf cart. It's not a very hip place. Like, you don't run into younger people there. It's like very, very wealthy people. It's a lot of old white men that go there. You're not going to see young people. You're not going to see very hip people. People just kind of stay to themselves there. Like, the drummer of Aerosmith was there, but that's not who I'm talking about. So I'm sitting at the pool, minding my business, and I see this guy walk by, and he's wearing his own merch. Okay? All right. He walks over to the bar, and I'm like, I'm going to go chat with this guy because I wanted to go get a drink, and I just wanted to say hi because I really liked his music. Now, I grew up with a dad in the music industry, and I don't idolize musicians or people like that, and I'm not that type of girl that's like, oh my God, you're so-and-so. I just wanted to go up and say, hey, I really like your music. It's cool. So I bellied up next to him at the bar, and I said, hey, quietly. And mind you, there's no one else around. I turned to him. I said, hey, it's really nice. I just wanted to come by and say hi. It's really nice to meet you. I really love your music and everything you've done with all the foundations you're a part of. And he cuts me off. And he goes, I'm on vacation right now. Thanks, though. And I totally get it. I'm on vacation, too. I wasn't being loud and obnoxious. There was no one around. I wasn't drawing attention. I was just saying, hey, what's up? Turns out he wasn't even there on vacation. He was there, to come to find out. He was hired by somebody's family to come and perform at a wealthy person's daughter's wedding. He wasn't even there on vacation. This man's ego was so high, and he's literally walking around this place in his own merch. That's like being an athlete and wearing your own jersey out in public. And the funniest thing is, no one else recognized him at this entire resort. Only me. But anyways, it ruined his music for me, and I've met a lot of famous people and musicians, and he's by far the rudest, but I'm not dropping his name. Sorry.
So obviously everybody is talking about J-Lo right now on the internet, and I saw a video of somebody saying, has anybody ever had a good interaction with J-Lo? And I have some hot tea and a hot take because I was J-Lo's waitress. It was a night before she did a show at MSG. The original show that she was supposed to do at MSG had to get rescheduled because there was a blackout in New York City. I remember that too. But I'm gonna tell you exactly what went down and my full opinion on your girl. Let me set the scene, okay? So I was working at a fine dining restaurant in Manhattan, all right? And then my manager, Anthony, comes over and goes, Diana, J-Lo's coming in like 3 minutes. We're giving her a private dining room. I want you to serve her. Now, anybody that has ever worked with me when I was a waitress, I hate waiting on celebrities. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It's too much pressure. I don't like it. Especially when they're like way bougie. Like I can't do it. My favorite celebrity that I've ever waited on though is Jon Stewart. I love that man. I love that man. I love that man. He's amazing. Anyways, back to JLo. So JLo comes in. She's very tiny in person. We give her a private dining room. She's got a full round table. Now, let me start by saying this. Her team were the most condescending, rudest group of people ever. Usually it's the other way around. Usually it's like the celebrity that's rude and the other people compensate like, I'm so sorry, but I'm so sorry. I've dealt with that. Her team was so nasty. And I remember the woman that she was with, and I saw clips of JLo's documentary, and the woman was in the clips, and I was like, that's the bitch. Anyways, now they start asking me about the appetizers. They're in a rush, so I'm like, okay, I gotta rattle this off. Mind you, this is an Italian-American steakhouse, okay? I am part Sicilian. I'm from Long Island, okay? People from New York, New Jersey, wherever, if you are part Italian or just like live around Italian areas, you use a lot of Italian-American slang. So I'm going down the thing, and naturally I'm like, oh, we have baked clams, we have this, we have galamad, we have this, we have that. And the woman sitting next to her goes, I'm sorry, what was that? Like, what even, like she was being so nasty about it. She's chewing on it. What was that? Okay. So JLo like steps in, she goes, it's calamari. And I was like, okay, New York girl. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. The other people at the table, they were giving such mean girl energy. I would walk in and they would be in a full conversation. They just go, everybody pin silent. And they would just watch me walk around their table. She had another dude with her that was just like chuckling under his breath. I was like, are they laughing at me? Like I genuinely thought I was back in middle school. I was like, are they fucking giggling at me right now? And the security guard that was with her was the absolute worst. He came in, he talked shit about JLo, he talked shit about her team, he talked shit about everybody. He hit on every waitress in there. He gave us all his card with his number on it. He was like, let me put my number in your phone. Let me put my number in your phone. To me, to like this other girl, to like a bunch of us. All of this to say, I know this video is getting long. A lot of the times, I don't know if it's really the celebrity that's being nasty or if it's their team. Or if their team is kind of condoning and enabling them being nasty. Because really, in that experience, I didn't experience much nastiness from JLo, but her team were a bunch of bitches. I don't know. I think a lot of people are just kind of like milking this beef on JLo to sum it up. I don't know if she's really as bad as some of you make it out to seem. But I will tell you firsthand, her team, woo, so mean. Let's talk about the tip. Now, I swiped JLo's card, which was wild. It like had her name on it, which is crazy. Her security guard was the one that was carrying her cards. So he handed me the cards, and I don't know if she has a policy of how much to tip or if he decided to tip. Because bitch, they only tipped 8%. 8%? Chance the Rapper tips 50 minimum. Jon Stewart tips like 75. 8% JLo. But once again, she didn't write the number down. She didn't sign for it. She handed her card to somebody. Somebody else did it. Like she didn't even make contact with the payment. She walked in, she ate, she left. Like boom, bang, boom. Okay. So yeah, the age-old entertainment mystery. Is it them or their team? That's my tea.
All of a sudden we were told the next guest is on her way. It's Jennifer Lopez. You guys need to clear the room. Everybody needs, and suddenly there was an instant panic. And again, I've been to doing a lot of talk shows in the green room with a lot of actors, and I'd never had that experience. So when we all went to the elevator, I realized, oh, I forgot my overcoat. So I went back into the room to get my overcoat that was hanging over a chair, and when I turned around, Jennifer walked into the room. She looked at me. So I said, hello, Jennifer. I said, we work together on Monster-in-Law. Jennifer just looked at me, just gave me a blank stare, and then looked away to her bodyguards as if, you were told to get this trash and clear the room. Why isn't this room cleared? It confirmed everything of, you can't even find words to say hello or yes, I remember, or again, how are you? She just gave a look as if, I need this room cleared. That's what you were told to do your job.
Hi, my girly pops and boys circles. Help me reach my 2025 goal of getting a YouTube plaque by subscribing to this channel. Please, 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 thank you. Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Hey girl, so a couple months ago, I got a DM from a girl that was in Stranger Things. She has her own show on Netflix, 7 million followers on Instagram, like a very big time kind of celebrity. And she DM'd me asking to take me out. I was talking to Miss Girl, so I didn't answer. I didn't want to be disrespectful to Miss Girl. I didn't want to upset a relationship that I really enjoyed. And a couple days ago, I was showing some of my friends my DMs, and they saw that this girl had DM'd me. And they were like, oh my God, why did you not respond? Like, Robbie, what are you doing? Come on, boy, like, you have to answer. And I was like, no, like, the time has passed. I think it's cool, and I think it's fun that this girl DM'd me, but it's just something that I would never answer. Eventually, after a couple of drinks, and after a couple of my good friends found out that she DM'd me, they kind of forced me into DMing her. Not forced, but persuaded me into DMing her. And I was like, okay, whatever, fine. I'll shoot my shot back and just see what happens. So I answer her DM. I really didn't want to do it at the time, and this is exactly why. Because she ended up seeing it maybe a couple hours after I sent it. I was already asleep. And when I wake up, I see that it said seen 6 hours ago. And I think the reason I never DM'd this girl back, one, she's like a kind of big time celebrity. I don't know if I could handle that. And also, I didn't want to know that she didn't care anymore, like that she was over it. But now I've been on scene for a couple days, and girl, let me tell you what, it hurts more than I thought. It's a really big blow to the ego.
Okay, so before and during the pandemic, I worked at the airport, right? And I have met some of the most random celebrities. True story. And when you work at the airport, you are technically not allowed to take any photos with the celebrities that you meet. That's bothering them. They're just traveling. They don't have to take a picture with you, right? So I make sure like I ask nicely, because how else are you going to believe this story? Pic will be included at the end, by the way. So it's 2019, 20-ish. And this is before like we had like strict COVID laws. And I'm working a flight. I can't remember where the flight was going. I'm not going to even lie to y'all, but I was at the gate working the flight like normal. Anyway, while I was working the flight, I heard the most beautiful music you could ever imagine. Like, it sounded like an instrument, and you knew for a fact that somebody was doing something live. Like, you knew it was a live performance. I just didn't know where it was coming from. But I'm like, wow, that's some really beautiful music. But again, I couldn't leave my gate, so I couldn't find out exactly who was making the noise. Anyways, as I'm working the flight, I'm scanning boarding passes, and I see a name go across my screen. I will never forget it. The name said Andre Benjamin III. And immediately, I knew exactly who it was. And when I looked to my left, he looked at me, made eye contact, and he gave me the cutest, friendliest smile, like a sweetheart smile. Not like he was flirting, like a sweetheart smile. It was so cute. Very shy, very bashful. I was like, oh my God, Andre 3000 is on my flight. Andre 3000 is on my flight. So after scanning everyone's boarding passes and getting ready to close the door, I catch the attention of my supervisor, who, oddly enough, is around my age. And I let her know the extravagant news. She's like, you lying. I'm like, I swear it's Andre 3000. She's like, how do you know? I'm like, bitch, I read his boarding pass. So we mosey on down to the plane to act as if we're going to do some last minute checkups. But really, we looking for Andre 3000. She goes up to him and she's like, oh my gosh, hi, it's such a pleasure to meet you. And she gives him like some cute, kind, sweet words, and how he influenced her to want to do music at one point, blah, 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 blah. I let sis talk and do her thing. I smiled, and then I waited for her to turn the corner. And as she turned the corner to go up the jet bridge, I said, Mr. 3000, can I please take a picture with you? Because nobody's going to ever believe that I met you. Like, this is so random. And he nodded and he smiled, because even this nigga knew that this was random. Come on now. So I politely squatted. Like, it looks as if I'm sitting on the passenger. That's how badly I wanted to take this picture. And he gave me the cutest smile because he was laughing at me, y'all. He thought I was silly as hell. And that's because I really act exactly how I act on TikTok is how I act in real life. So he was like laughing at me like, this girl is crazy. And yeah, I got my picture and my proof that I met Andre 3000. And I have several other stories and pictures to add if you guys ever want to see. My wig looks terrible, okay? And I had just had my daughter, so my face was really chunky. But this is the photo, and that is Mr. 3000.
I work in acting, and after meeting a lot of famous people, I've realized something about why so many famous people are so rude to random people. So being that I'm in the acting world, it's pretty common that you'll at least see, meet, or be next to a pretty famous actor, actress, singer, talent, model, whatever. And what I think a lot of people don't realize, if you've never worked with a famous person, you don't know truly how many people work for them. You don't know. Without fail, every single set that I've worked on that has had A-list celebrities, that celebrity always has a team of at least 10 to 15 people or more that take care of them while they're on set. That celebrity needs a drink of water, someone's there in 2 seconds giving it to them. That person wants a specific meal different from everybody else, they're getting it. If they're late, everyone waits for them. If they want to stay late, everyone stays late for them. You do not understand how much celebrities are not treated on a normal human level. Literally. And so imagine being someone so famous that every single day, morning, night, afternoon, you have people telling you how incredible, amazing, perfect, giving you everything you need. Your only function is to just be you. And then putting that person in a normal work situation or a normal social situation where they're out in public, yeah, they're gonna be rude. They're gonna be shitty because they're literally not used to being a normal person anymore. Is this behavior justified? I don't think so. But at the same time, I have no idea what it feels like to have 100 million people around me all the time treating me like I'm some other earthly being. But anyway, it's crazy. It is actually like a little bit gross when you see that in real life happening behind the scenes, like truly how different these celebrities are living their lives. So when we hate on people like J-Lo and celebrities who are infamously rude, just think about the fact that that woman has probably not lived a normal life forever.
Story time of meeting one of the coolest celebrities I've ever met. A little reference, I live in Las Vegas and I used to cocktail on the Strip, so I have met a number of celebrities, and by far this person is still like the coolest interaction I've ever had. This was actually just a few weeks ago when one of my friends and I were in LA and we stopped by a random Target to pick up some beach towels. So we're rounding the corner down an aisle, right? And we're obviously like on the hunt for some beach towels. And as we're rounding the corner, I see this guy with a baseball cap on and he's kneeling on the floor doing something. So that kind of caught my attention. And at first I thought he was a Target employee. And so I'm like, okay, let me ask this guy where the beach towels are, right? So as I'm walking up to him, approaching him, he turns and looks at me and I immediately recognize him and know who he is. With those beautiful piercing blue eyes, it is none other than Ian Somerhalder. Really took me aback because this guy's like kneeling on the floor. Nobody's around him, by the way. He's by himself. He's kneeling on the floor doing something. So he and I just kind of like stare at each other for a second. We're just like, because I'm confused. And the only thing that I can think of to say in this moment is, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, I'm signing bottles. And right in front of him was like a small display of whiskey bottles. I was like, what are you signing bottles for? And he's like, oh, it's my brand. Like, it's my whiskey brand. And me and my friend are kind of just looking at each other because, again, there's nobody around him. He's by himself in a hat on the floor in Target signing bottles. And then I go, oh, I didn't even know you owned a whiskey company. That's really cool. And then he starts like divulging, telling me all about his brand. I'm not a whiskey drinker. And I tell him straight up like, oh, I'm not a whiskey drinker, but my stepdad is. So when I come back around, like I'll grab a bottle from you. They go get the beach towels. You know, we're coming back on our way to check out. And we come back and again, no one's around him, just by himself in Target on the floor. And when we walk up to him, he goes, oh, you came back. And I was like, yeah, I told you I was going to come back. So I grab a bottle and I'm like, you know, my stepdad's gonna love this, whatever. Again, I don't drink whiskey, but like he's big into it. And he's like, oh, what's his name? I'll sign a bottle for him. So here is the bottle. You wanna see? Here's my proof. Here is the bottle that Ian Somerhalder signed on a floor in Target. And we were just chatting with him and he was telling us so much about his brand and his whiskey and how much he loves it. And it was so cute because he was so like passionate about this whiskey. He was so passionate about his brand. And we were just like talking and having a casual conversation as strangers. So that is the coolest interaction I've ever had with a celebrity. Ian Somerhalder is an absolute gem of a human being. And after this, I just love him even more.
All right, story time. So most of you guys know that I'm from Miami. I was raised there, lived there for all my life. When I was 15 years old, we drove to Star Island, right? If everybody from Miami knows what Star Island is where Gloria Stefan lives, Diddy, everybody has a house in Star Island. I'm talking about this is in the 90s. I don't want to say when in the 90s, but because then I'll show my age. But I remember that me and my cousins, we asked the security guard on Star Island. Apparently they have certain times that you can visit Star Island. But when we pulled up, we were about to ask him because we never been to Star Island. We're like, yo, can we? And he was like, oh, are you here for the party? And we were like, yeah. We played it along. And we went, yeah, of course. So he let us go through. Mind you, we started driving around Star Island. There was one house that we saw And this is back then when none of this, so much homosexuality is going on, this binary bullshit and all that. None of this. This is what we're talking about in the 90s, when whoever was on the DL was really on the DL closet wise. When we drove by, there was a house. I'll never forget this. Back then, there was no cell phones. None of us had cell phones. It was in the 90s, early 90s. We saw a house, and it was like glass. It was a glass. The living room was full. It was glass from floor to ceiling. And the shit that we saw there it was like 3 guys bent over, and you know what's happening from other guys, whatever. We just stood there, parked the car right there, and we were like, what is going on? That was the first time I've ever seen 2 men being, actively sexually. We left that block, and we ended up in P. Diddy's house. We saw a bunch of cars, and we're like, what's going on here? This is the party they might be talking about it. Mind you, we had no idea it was P. Diddy. So we parked the car. Me and my 2 cousins, we started walking towards the entrance. I swear to you, this is not makeup, nothing. I saw Gloria Stefan and her husband walking in. For us, that's a huge deal. For us being from Miami, Gloria Stefan, we were raised with their music. I swear to you, from the beginning, back then, I don't know what was going on, because there was no security. There was no security in the front, obviously, because this is a private island. So I'm guessing that they didn't expect anybody from outside coming in. When I walked in, I only stepped 1 foot in, and the shit that I saw there was insane. It was orgies everywhere, like right in front of you. It was people having sex. I didn't see who was having sex with who. I just saw a bunch of naked people. I saw a lot of cocaine on the tables. And all I did is I took me, and mind you, I was with my little cousin. He was 14, I was 16. I turned around, and me and my oldest cousin, she was 17 at that time. She was the one driving. We turned around, I grabbed both of them, and I said, we're out of here. Later come to find out that it was Diddy's fucking house. So yes, I think I was the first person to ever, and I'm not saying this because of the situation Diddy's in right now or any of that nature. I'm telling you, this is a true story, and me and my 2 cousins know about this, and we were just like, this island is full of freaks. We hopped in the car and we left that island. So now that Diddy's going through all this shit, and I think that all these celebrities are all freaks, they all took part of all this bullshit. I can't really say if there was young kids or not, because to be honest, I can't even tell you. I just saw a lot of people, and the only celebrities I saw that I probably recognized was Gloria Stefan and her husband, which later I came to find out that they're swingers and they go both ways as well. Hence why supposedly their marriage has been going on for so long. But yeah, this is a true story, not making this up. I just felt like compelled to share with you guys, because it's only me and my cousin, me and my cousins that know about this. So these people are freaks.
So before I even share this story with y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all something right now. Do not judge how a person looks on pictures or even on film. The way that this man looks in person, I would have never in a million years guessed that. And it's not that he's unattractive on television, but it's the fact that, y'all, he's up there with like Morris in them, like no BS. And when y'all see the picture of me and him at the end, y'all gonna see that I'm not lying. Okay, so it's like right after, maybe like right before COVID really took place. I was working at the airport. It was pretty late. and the ticket counter was dead. So I went ahead and went to the break room. And for whatever reason, whenever I go to the break room, a celebrity comes to the airport. It never fails. Now, like I told y'all, we are not allowed to harass them, ask for photos, none of the above, right? So as I'm coming from the break room, my coworker is like, girl, you would never believe who was up here. I'm like, who? She was like, Richard T. Jones, the one that plays Mike from Why Did I Get Married? I was like, what? She was like, girl, and that man is so fine. And he smells so good. Like, oh my gosh, you can still kind of smell him. So when she said that, instantly, I was like, you know, it does smell really good in here. Like, when I tell y'all that man smells phenomenal. He's not the only celebrity that smells really good. And I got a picture with somebody else that smells really good. And we're going to tell that story next time. But anyway, I'm like, where did he go? And she was like, he just went through security. So you know what I did? I said, you mind if I like step away for a second? She was like, yeah, go ahead. So I moseyed through security, and by the grace of God, it was so slow. Like only very few people was traveling at night. And I see him, y'all. I will never forget when I saw this man. He was like putting on his stuff, getting ready to hit the gate. Like he was about to go to the gate. When I tell y'all, I don't know if he's like lost weight since the film. I'm gonna let y'all see the picture and y'all see for me. When I tell y'all, body-wise, he was super fit. He's tall. He like 6'3", 6'4". His skin is chocolate and smooth, like creamy smooth. Like, give me a second. I'm sorry. I don't know if he married, child. Give me a second. I'm so sorry. And when I walked up to him, I was like, hi, you know, I'm such a fan. Do you mind if I take a picture? And he smiled, and his smile was beautiful. Like all his teeth perfectly straight, perfectly white. And he smelled like money. That's the smell. He smelled like money. Amazing. A lot of money. That's what he smelled like. But anyways, we took the picture, and I'm going to include the picture at the end for y'all. Okay, y'all. So oddly enough, this was the same month I met Andre 3000 because the wig was terrible. But let's get past that. Y'all look at this man. Look at his smile. Look how handsome he is. He's so cute. Like, oh my gosh, this movie, he didn't look like this on this movie. Like, look how good he look. His face all slim. I cannot make this up. I can't make it up.
I had an absolutely horrible experience dating a celebrity. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be able to guess who it is once I tell you more about him. This story starts when I was living in Los Angeles. I was 26 years old. I had moved out there to become an actress. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. And just like many girls who go to Los Angeles with hopes and dreams, I ended up becoming an exotic dancer. Obviously, I kept this a big secret, especially when I was dating, and I was on Tinder at the time, which is where I matched with this celebrity. At the time, this guy was really big. Like, he had a hit show on HBO. Not only did he have a hit show on HBO, but he played a character on that show that I was absolutely obsessed with. Guys, little clue, the show is about baseball. I'm sure so many of you are gonna get it from that hint. So anyway, this guy's like not conventionally attractive, but he has dad bod and he looks old and mature and kind of goofy, which is totally my type. So we plan to go out on a date, and the date is gonna be actually at a comedy club where he is performing. Was that really a date? I don't know. Anyway, I decide that I'm gonna bring one of my friends who's like a little bit of a train wreck. I go up to Hollywood to go to this comedy club. We watch his show. It's very funny. We almost get thrown out because we're obnoxiously loud, and my friend had puffed the magic dragon prior to going to the show. Then afterwards, he meets up with us and says, do you want to go to the bar down the street and have a couple of drinks? Eventually, my friend leaves because she realizes she's a third wheel, which leaves me all alone with this HBO star that I'm super obsessed with. I ended up getting really, really tipsy, and I actually, at the end of the night, invited myself over to his house, which is where I stayed till 4 o'clock in the morning talking to him about my ex-boyfriend who ghosted me because he had a brain tumor, but it turns out he was actually married with 2 kids. Anyway, the date ended, and I had never expected to see him again because I had acted a little bit crazy and foolish. Months go by, I don't hear from him. I'm kind of disappointed because I was such a fan, and I thought that the date went pretty well. Like, he was a little standoffish, awkward, and weird, but I was down for that. This time, things really slow down at the club, so I decide I'm gonna try to make an account on one of these like sugar daddy dating websites. Literally days after I have my profile go up on this website, I get a text message from none other than this celebrity. He confesses to me that he found my profile on the sugar daddy dating website. He seems so intrigued by the fact that I am on this page, and he's asking me questions like, do you like to use men for money? Do you like to take advantage of unsuspecting men? I can tell he's really into it, and I feel like, okay, well, maybe this is the key to his heart. Like, if I play along with this weird game that he likes, maybe he'll want to go out on another date. So I'm feeding into it, and I'm telling him how I just love to take money from men, like it's a hobby of mine. I have all these simps following me around, Venmo and Cash Apping me money. Then things took a really, really weird turn. He asked me to be mean to him and to demand for him to send me money on PayPal. So I was like, okay, like my car payment is due. I like you, but bills gotta be paid. Well, the story, he sends the $300 and this thing continues for about a year. I don't know why, but in my heart of hearts, I thought that this man was my soulmate. We did go on 2 more dates after that. His dates did involve him giving me money in some way, shape, or form, and it did also involve me being mean to him. After this went on for a year, I kind of got fed up because I was like, dude, when are you gonna make me your girlfriend? That's when he tells me that this thing that's going on between me and him is not special, that he's actually doing it with like 3 other girls. One of them is also his assistant that works for him. Like, oh, cool. So you have other girls demanding money from you and being mean to you? I'm not the only one? Basically, after that, I cut all ties and never talked to him again. I do still miss him. I certainly wish I still had somebody paying for my car payment. Anyway, who do you think this celebrity is? Leave your guesses in the comments.
Hi. So I am someone that has spent a ridiculous amount of time working in restaurants here in New York City, primarily Michelin star, fine dining, private members only clubs, and all of these places really cater to a specific clientele. Celebrities, politicians, CEOs, royalty, even in some cases. And so the number one question I'm always asked when talking about a specific celebrity or notable is, well, what were they like? So I figured I would just start telling my stories. So welcome to Story Time. In today's episode of Story Time, I thought we would start with a doozy. We'll start with Gwyneth Paltrow, since she's been in the news a lot recently. She has the dubious honor of being my number 1 worst celebrity that I have ever waited on. She was wretched. And so here's the story. And this took place many years ago, I want to point out. This is when she was pregnant with her 2nd child, and she was in her 3rd trimester because about 2 weeks after she left the restaurant is when they had announced she had given birth. That is important to remember for this story. 3rd trimester. So they come in, they are a party of 4. It is Gwyneth, 2 female friends, and a male friend. The male friend, like myself, is a Diet Coke addict. And at this restaurant, if your soft drink was empty, we would just automatically refill it. And so I just kept bringing him new Diet Cokes pretty frequently. So he's a man after my own heart. And by the 4th time I brought this over, she proceeds to yell at me. And she says, stop bringing him soda, reprimanding me. And so I try and make light of the situation because we're all caught off guard. And I said, oh, it's just, part of the routine here. If someone's drink is empty, we refill it. He doesn't need any more soda. And I look at him and he is horrified. His eyes are real wide. He's like frozen still, doesn't know what to do. I look at the other ladies, they don't know what to do. And so we all look at her and she proceeds to launch into this monologue about how horrible soda is for you and the chemicals and everything that it does for you in the body. While she's doing this, while she's yelling at me, she reaches over her left shoulder, grabs the bottle of sake that I put in the ice bin, tops herself off, puts it back, and just proceeds to keep yelling at me. So if we're paying attention, drinking alcohol while pregnant, totally fine and healthy. Drinking Diet Coke, not healthy at all. Got it. So then the night finishes out. She was still married to Chris Martin at this time, so she paid with his credit card and tipped 15%. Now, a couple of little disclaimers before people start going crazy in the comment section. Number 1, in the state of New York, if you are of legal drinking age and pregnant and you ask for alcohol, it is our job to give it to you. No questions asked. Otherwise, it is considered discrimination and we can be sued. I understand that people have very strong opinions about this. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're right. You are entitled to your feelings. But if you have an issue with this policy, I suggest you take it up with the state of New York. We were just doing our job. It is not our job to tell a pregnant person what they can and cannot have. They are responsible for their body, not us. That is number 1. Number 2, it is important to note again that she was in her 3rd trimester. A lot of doctors will say the baby is cooked at that point, so alcohol won't hurt. Still important to point out the hypocrisy that soda is bad, but alcohol while pregnant is good. The joy of Gwyneth Paltrow. Number 3, before anybody gets crazy and throwing the defamation word around, this is not gossip. This is not rumor. This is not alleged. I was her server. She ordered the sake from me. I brought her the sake. I opened it, I poured it, I put it in the ice bucket, and I watched her refill her glass while she yelled at me about the horrors of Diet Coke. This is not alleged. This happened, and I was the server. This is just me communicating what it was like for me this particular night at work, waiting on this particular celebrity. So, if you have any other celebrities that you guys want to know how they behaved in a restaurant, just pop it in the comment section. As long as I haven't signed a confidentiality agreement, and yes, there are restaurants that do make you sign a confidentiality agreement, and I had to do so specifically with certain members of the royal family. If I haven't signed that agreement, I'm happy to tell you whatever I know. And I would like to point out that 95% of the celebrities and notables, politicians, etc., were all fantastic. They're really, most of them were lovely. It's just there are a handful that are really vile and wretched, and Gwyneth just happens to be one of them. So that's it for story time today. I'll see you soon. Cheers.
Meeting celebrities can be exciting. It can be a little scary because you don't know what their reaction is going to be. But in the end, like, they're people just like you and I. So as promised at the beginning of the video, here are mine. In 2015 and 2016, I used to work at Main Event. For people who don't know what Main Event is, it is like this huge event center. It has arcade games, it has bowling, it has rope course, it has laser tag, there's a food place, it has pool, like it has a whole lot of stuff in there. Me personally, when I very first started, I used to work in the pizza shop, and then I worked my way up until I used to be called team service, where you're basically helping out the servers. And then I worked my way up to a server, and they wouldn't let me start off as a server because I had no serving experience at all. So once I worked my way up to a server, I eventually worked my way up to a bartender. That's neither here nor there. So a few celebrities that I met while working at Main Event would be Jessica Dime from Love and Hip Hop, Penny Hardaway, Dontari Poe. And I also met K. Michelle, but I do not have a picture with her because she was there with, I'm assuming it was her man, and you know, she didn't want to be bothered. I got to meet Young Dolph. However, I did not know there was Young Dolph. The first person, let's talk about Jessica Dime from Love and Hip Hop. Jessica Dime, if you've ever watched her on Love and Hip Hop, she seems hood, she seems mean, and that's what I thought I was going to get. So I actually met her on 2 occasions. The first time she came in, it was her and it was a whole bunch of guys. It was a slow day and they went to do bowling. They were on with the lanes that I would happen to be serving that night, and I'm thinking like, oh, it's Jessica Dime, I'm probably finna get a big tip. That was my first quote unquote celebrity that I had ever actually got a chance to meet, like to serve. So I was a bit, you know, I didn't know what to expect. Once I got up there to serve them, she didn't really talk to me. It was all the, like, a bunch of guys. They were all looking at the menu, just yelling out orders, and yeah, it wasn't the best experience, I'm gonna say that. But I did get a chance to ask her if she would take a picture of me, hence the picture that you just saw. And one of the guys had said, they're not even gonna know it's you because you got your glasses on. And I looked at her, I was like, what, can you take your glasses off? And she was like, no. So that's how we ended up with the picture with the glasses on. Okay, but she did happen to come up there again because one of the bartenders that worked there, she knew him. And so the second time she came, she was by herself. She sat at the bar. It was a slow night again. And so I ended up sitting beside her at the bar, you know, and we ended up getting to talking. I was asking her, what is it like being on TV? And just asking her different questions about, you know, being on TV, being a quote-unquote celebrity. And she actually was really cool, really down to earth, and she's not what you see on TV. The last story I'm going to talk about is when Young Dolph came in. So me, I'm not really a rap girly at all, so I don't really be listening to the music like that, so I don't know what half of these people look like. All I saw was a group of people coming in that looked like they weren't going to tip. I don't want to stereotype anybody, but if you're a server, if you know, you know. They happened to sit in my section, and I ended up trading them off for another table because I didn't want to deal with it. Come to find out, it was Young Dolph and his family, and he tipped the server very well. So that's what I get for stereotyping. Cause why? So I gotta tell y'all something. Unfortunately, we're at the end of the video. If you have ever met any celebrities, tell me down below. I'm interested in knowing, how did it go? Who did you meet? Bye, girly pops and boysicles. What's up? What's good? What's happening? What's popping? Thank you for liking and thank you for watching.